everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Glow podcast. I have a very exciting guest here with us today, Vanessa from Vein Market. And for those of you just joining us for the first time, we are Tailored Marketing. We help skincare clinics, aesthetic clinics, and dermatologists grow their practices. So if you're interested in learning more, comment below or send me a DM. Vanessa, I am so happy to have you here today. And I would just love for you to kind of go ahead and give an introduction to who you are, who Vein Market is, and all of those fun things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for even having me join you. This is so exciting.
Yeah.
So my background is sales and marketing, and about a year and a half ago, I went full time to actually start Vein, and it's been an incredible ride. We essentially think of us as like a more data-driven Sephora. We help connect people to the right skincare products based on their skin type, their skin issues, knowing that there's incredible brands out there, but there's over 4,000 brands to choose from. So it's extremely overwhelming and leaves consumers mostly just frustrated and most of the time just not buying products because they don't know what to actually spend their money on. So we solve that problem.
I love that. I think that that's great because, like you already said, there's so much in the market. It's very confusing from a consumer perspective of like, okay, what are the necessities? What does my skin need? What do I need if I'm struggling with this or have this issue or want to achieve this goal? So I think that that is super cool, honestly, because it is. I mean, I'm a consumer and I know it's overwhelming.
Yeah. All of it pretty much started, and I couldn't agree more, right? Like that's why we exist in the first place. All of this started back in 2020, and I was still at my full-time corporate job and absolutely loved what I was doing. But I was 25, 26, and all of a sudden, right before COVID and lockdown, I had started breaking out and having like acne all down here, which like definitely was probably related to hormonal acne, but I never broke out that way. Like I was very lucky all in high school. Like I had breakouts here and there, but it would be like one, a single one, not a
Yeah.
cluster and like actual acne. And so to be 25, 26 and being like, hold on, I'm supposed to be past this part of my life. Like I was
Yeah.
good. Why am I experiencing this? And I went into full freak out because no one in my family also like that. I'm lucky enough that I don't have that skin type, or at least I thought I didn't. And so I then spent hours searching for products, trying to understand what was happening, Googling, saying, okay, if I knew at that point I at least had combination skin. I knew that much. I was like, okay, what can I be using? What is supposed to be working for a cleanser and a moisturizer? Should I be using a retinol? And to the point that I went to the dermatologist and like was lucky enough that I had access to go to a dermatologist. And that helped at very basic, but one of the things they told me was like stop all of it and like
Yeah.
restart your skincare essentially. But even then, it helped a little, but then I got put on tretinoin and I was like, okay, wait, this is now ruining my skincare barrier or my skin barrier rather. And so the whole point is that I just went through probably a year or so of a journey just to even get my skin back on track, feel like I wasn't attacking it with all these different chemicals and just throwing anything at it. And it took me a lot of money and a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I originally was like, well, I wish that this was just an easier process at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And when I started brainstorming of what that would even look like, at first I was like, oh, I wish I could just have like an Excel sheet with everything that my friends are using, right? So I don't have to constantly be texting in the group chat being like, hey, what was that product that you mentioned 2 weeks ago? That's Sephora, or like I'm ordering online. And I was like, maybe I can just make like a Google sheet and we can all update it. And then at the same time, like most people during lockdown, I went on TikTok and I kept going on all the comment sections. Not even like an influencer on some random person's video. All the comments would be like, your skin looks incredible. I'm struggling. What do you recommend for this? What do you recommend for that? And that made it so clear that I wasn't alone in this problem, right?
Yeah.
That so many people were looking for answers and turning to their friends or people that they trusted or strangers that they don't even know that person, but they're like, you look incredible. I want to be like you. I want to look like you. And so that's where I thought, wait, okay, it can't just be a little Google sheet that my friends and I use. This needs to be something, there's something real here. And so that was in 2020, 2021. But at that point, I loved my job. And it was kind of like, okay, this is an idea off to the side. But with every meeting that I was in, it would just happen. I would have an idea and I would write it And I had like a whole
Yeah.
90-day planner and I would be writing, I'm like, oh, that's a good, I can rethink it this way. And at that point, it was funny because at that point I was leading our e-commerce sales accounts for the company that I was at. And so I was working directly with Walmart, Amazon, GoPuff, and like not only learning how their internal systems work as a retailer, but also their issues, right? And what their
Yeah.
biggest problems were in getting people in the door, keeping people there. And they relied on their suppliers to understand how shoppers were thinking, how they were buying, how even to navigate within their taxonomy. And that perspective really helped in building Bain in terms of like, how do we rethink the shopping process? How do we rethink instead of, especially within beauty and skincare, where you don't even know where to start? It's not like groceries where you can say, well, I know I want eggs, or
Yeah.
I know that I want bread and milk. Like, what at least, and maybe there's new things that you go, oh, okay, there's like a new cheese snack, which like I
Yeah.
used to work at PepsiCo in the Frito-Lay part of the business. So I could talk about snacks all day, but it's a little bit more intuitive, right? If you know what you like and what you don't
Yeah.
like. But when it comes to health, when it comes to skincare, it's a totally different ball game. And you could know, I want a cleanser. Okay, now what cleanser am I supposed to buy? What ingredients am I supposed to be looking out for? How am I supposed to know whether or not this is going to work for me or am I going to break out again? And so, yeah, I think, even going through that journey and learning a lot from the job that I had at that point, but also the personal problem that I was having and was noticing that a lot of other people were having,
Yeah.
combining those two things was kind of like the perfect complementary skill set, if you will, to create Maine. So
Yeah.
that's how we got here.
Yeah, no, I love that. I feel like you saw a gap in the market. You're like, this is something that I need. And then you go on TikTok and you're like, wait, so it's not just me, it's not just my friends. It's kind of a lot of people, I'm sure, like primarily women, but also men that care about their skincare as well too. So I love that you kind of are solving a problem with that. And so is your Google Sheet, is it turning into an app, or how will it be used primarily by consumers?
Yeah, so we created a mobile web platform. So not
Okay.
an app just yet. Knowing, I think to me, in building an app, one, it's really cost intensive, and we just
Of
that's
course.
not our budget at the time.
Yeah.
But second, I think even personally, there's a high barrier to download an app. We all only have so much space on our phones, and even though the space storage continues to grow with every iPhone or phone that's released,
Yeah.
most of that goes to my photos. So I'm like, well, I want all my photos on there. And so more and more of like, okay, do I even actually use this app? Who do I even know? Like, I don't even know what this company does or if they're useful to me. So to me, I was like, okay, how do I build trust with consumers first and get them using us? And then we'll evolve into an app because over time, we will become something that they're using more frequently. But I wanted to
Yeah.
build that trust first and really not have to deal with that barrier to entry, right? Because if I say, well, you can't use this unless you download us, to me, I was like, I think I'm going to be missing out on a large market here.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so we're mobile web. We launched our MVP, so just a very basic version of the platform last year in September. We launched with 11 pilot brands and 59 products. So
Okay.
across cleansers, toners, serums, eye creams, and moisturizers. And so, which it's funny because I'm like, okay, that's just a small set of it, but it's been great to kind of just see what people like, what they don't like, and also from a brand perspective, like how brands want to be partnering with retailers as well. That's been very eye-opening. But we actually just brought on a CTO and 4 data science interns because we have a wait list of 60 plus brands to onboard this year. But we know that the more brands that we onboard onto the platform, the smarter we have to get in the back end to know, okay, if someone comes to us and says they have dry skin, they live in New York, it's the middle of winter, okay, these are the types of ingredients that they need for their skincare routine. And so that team right now is in the middle. It's so exciting. They're in the middle of actually further building out our database and really sourcing from textbooks, from research papers, based off of what ingredients actually on the front on the front end of technology of knowing, okay, it's not just what used to work back in the day and what we thought, but actually like what's the most recent research that we have at our fingertips to then better inform not only ourselves but our recommendations. And so they're building out that entire essentially like LLM, and we're really basing it within AI, knowing that there's all this data available to us, but how do we then really train a model to then work in the back end to essentially give those recommendations? So very exciting on all of that. But yeah, that's where we're at right now.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I honestly agree with you. I do think it is a lot more of a commitment to download an app. Kind of like you said. I feel like starting out website and then it's like, okay, now we have our users. Let's maybe think about an app down the line. I think that that's honestly the smartest way to go about it, especially like you said, iPhones only have a certain amount of storage, and it's like it takes a lot for me to want to download an app these days. Like it's
100%.
not I'm not using something on an app for the first time. It's going to be the website and then I'll maybe get the app if I really like it and I see that I'm using it a lot. So I completely agree with you on that. And then also going back to kind of what you were talking about with the development behind the scenes of kind of how you are doing the research to kind of basically give people recommendations for what they should be using for their skin and things like that. How does that kind of work behind the scenes for you all
Yeah.
at Vane? Like, how are you, when somebody is coming to you with like these issues of like, okay, I have oily skin or, I have dry skin and all these different things, how are you deciding or how is your algorithm deciding or what are you all doing to kind of give them the recommendations for what they should be using?
Totally. So I get this question a lot because I think if we're going to say like our values are being unbiased and transparent and
Mm-hmm.
truly like how this is a whole other thing, but like we're not having ads on the platform. Like we are not, that is not our business model because if we do, that takes away from truly being unbiased. But with that being said, it's okay, well, then how do you keep that when you're doing the algorithm in the back end and the math? So, what we've been basing all of it on is the ingredients, right? A lot of brands, and this is not, exclusive to beauty whatsoever. Again, like I come from the CPG world and food and bev. There's a lot of things that you can get away with. Granted, like legal is pretty strict, but you can get away with a lot of claims, right? Of saying, oh, we do this or we do that because it's just like a little percentage true. And so we don't pay attention to that. We do not pay attention to the claims that brands say what they can do. We base it on the ingredients that are in that product. And so that's why it's so important. And I'm so excited that we are bringing in textbooks and like actual academia into the process because we're really paying attention to the research and data part of it. Knowing and working with dermatologists of saying, okay, what are the right ingredients when we have rosacea, eczema? What do we need to be paying attention? Also, not only what those active ingredients are, because someone, the brands might be like, we have glycerin, and glycerin's like the 10th or 13th ingredient listed, which
Yeah.
I know you do, but for anyone that doesn't know the importance of listing ingredients, it's what's actually most present in the product. And so if it's all the way down there, but you're claiming it, it's like, okay, well, it's actually probably not as hydrating as what they're claiming for it to be. So we really focus on those ingredients. And so we tag them in the back end in the algorithm and actually being able to train, okay, these are the ingredients that work for XYZ conditions and issues. And these are also like the combinations that work well together or the combinations that you can't, right? If you use a
Yeah.
retinol at night, there's certain things that you can't mix with a retinol or maybe with a hyaluronic acid or even with a vitamin C in the morning, right? And so it's really taking all of that and paying attention to the data and to the nitty gritty parts of it rather than the claims and
Yeah.
hoping that that really helps give the best recommendation possible.
No, yeah, I mean that makes sense. I think that that's great. And you're right too. So how, I guess you were talking about ingredients and things a little bit for sure, but how are you all also deciding which brands you're bringing onto the platform? Is that more of kind of like a mutual decision between you and the brand, or are you really vetting out these people before even bringing them on the platform for your consumers to use?
Totally. That's such a great question. It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we have the 60 plus wait list, right? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
one, we need to vet everyone. But two, I just wanted to start with a smaller subset anyway.
Yeah.
And it's not, we didn't narrow it down by like, oh, it's only clean ingredients, which also the clean claims within beauty is a whole other conversation, which I'm sure you're
Yeah.
very familiar with. Because people are like, are you only doing clean? And I'm like, do you know that there's no like real standard for clean within beauty? It's
Yeah.
just what different retailers or brands will claim as clean. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, I'm not touching that yet. One day, maybe we will get there. But
Yeah.
really, it's been a lot of just seeing. So, two things. One of the things was the way that we supply in the back end. is we're not holding any inventory at this point just because that's very cost intensive and
Of
that's just
course.
not where we're at. And also it allows us to be a little bit scrappier and move faster. So it was knowing, okay, what do we have access to? And then what makes sense within what we have access to? Of like, okay, Korean skincare. What are the types of ingredients that they have within Korean skincare? Okay, we're using things that actually are focused towards, like we have Clear Stem, if you're familiar with Clear Stem.
Mm-hmm.
They're on our platform. They're all about not only like acne, but anti-aging. And
Yeah.
like putting those two things together. Okay, their ingredients actually like they have a lot of awards and have been proven to like that their ingredients that they have actually work. And so we were happy like, oh wait, we have access to them and we love what they're doing and the ingredients, great. And so there's been, I would say like 7 out of the 11 are like those cases where we started to reach out to the brand, talk to them, get to know them better, understand what they were doing and their products. And then I would say the other side of what we have is actually just like working with brands, meeting the founders, having them tell me their story of like, hey, this is like why we're actually using these ingredients. This is what we believe in. This is, what we know, whether it's, from family traditions, right? And it's like Eastern skincare a little bit more, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And so I'm really proud to say that we have a big diversity, even though we only have 11 pilot brands right now, that
Yeah.
it's really diverse. So we can understand it's not just one niche, but really being able to provide a variety for people and the different types of people that we're trying to get on our platform.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I feel like, I mean, obviously, everyone's skin's so different, so everyone needs different things. And also, like you were talking about too, like with clean ingredients in your skincare, obviously, that's a huge conversation that a lot of
Mhm.
people are having. But that means something different to everyone. Some people are looking for very medical grade
Mhm.
skincare, and that's going to look completely different than, somebody who's super into like natural ingredients and would rather put like honey on their face or things like that. So it's like kind of finding that balance so that everyone, when they're coming to your platform, can get what they're looking for because it is different for everyone for sure.
100%. And that's usually my answer whenever someone's like, well, why are you not only doing clean? Or why are you not only someone I have a dog and someone at the dog park was like, should be only things that are not animal tested. And I was like, okay, hold on. Yes, but like we're
Yeah.
really going down to like a very specific niche here where I'm
Yeah.
like, I cannot assume that because something matters to me, it's gonna matter to other people. And so like I was like, that only closes us off versus actually catering to people that need our help.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting though navigating those conversations and I think also talking to founders because it's really tough. Every person, especially like people like myself that it's a small company right now. Like you are in the trenches. Like you are just making
Yeah.
it work and they care so deeply about what the product that they're building. And so I try to really listen to what they're saying and then really back it up with, okay, does this make sense for the platform? Does this make sense for what we're trying to provide to our consumers at the end of the day?
Yeah. No, I mean that completely makes sense. I feel like everybody just has different ideas of what works for them, and you want to be able to cater to all kind of those different ideas in the best way possible. So I completely understand where you're coming from. And everybody places importance on different things, but you can still cater to kind of all of those different importance levels.
100%. Part of our product roadmap right now. So, like the way the platform works, it's like very, again, MVP. So, we have just like a series of questions in the way that it works right now of like, okay, what's your skin type? And we try to guide people of like, I was like, do you get out of the shower and your face instantly like feels like tight? You probably have dry
Yeah.
skin. Like, or by the end of the day, do you need one of those like, which like, I don't know, in middle school, I feel like we were all obsessed with them. Where like the little Neutrogena wipes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you need one of those by the end of the day? Where I was like, what oil was that? I was like, oh my God, I need all of it, like wiping off.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you need that by the end of the day, you probably have like oily skin and whatnot.
Yeah.
So we try to guide, but it's just questions right now versus where we're building now, which I'm very excited, hopefully by this summer, to actual like facial analysis where we can help
Okay.
and be like, hey, you take a picture and we can actually scan that and say, hey, we noticed this. You have fine lines, you have a little bit of eczema, you have combination skin or dry skin, whatever that might be. And then back it up with then the questions, right? To your point of what do you care about? What do you
Yeah.
care about? And it's not even of the anti-aging or whatnot, but it's what Do you care about the ingredients? Do you like
Yeah.
things that are more holistic? Do you like whatever it might be? Do you have sensitive skin? Because you can't really tell that in a facial scan. Maybe we'll get to that point, but right now you can't. But I know that I have sensitive skin. And like my older sister has crazy sensitive skin. And so over years, she's been able to learn the things that she's allergic to. But that's the type of input that we also need from whatever, what from the consumer themselves. So
Yeah.
it's really kind of working hand in hand there, which is
Yeah.
exciting.
That is exciting. And the facial scan, that sounds super, super cool. I've kind of heard of similar technologies that we're using, even like body scans and things
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
That is this a technology that you all are creating, or is it a technology that's already exists?
So there's some that already exist.
Yeah.
We actually were able to get one of the interns that we brought into the team had already done this. And so we
Wow.
were like, incredible. Like if we can,
Yeah.
granted, it's going to be a very basic form of it right now, but I'm like, great, if we can build that internally, that allows us to be just so much smarter
For
and
sure.
like have really great data to then further build into the algorithm, right? Because like with machine learning, the more data that we get from consumers, the better recommendations that we can make, right? Where it's okay, we might have thought that this um, cleanser was a good recommendation for you. And granted, we're not doing, hey, this is the one product that we think is going to work for you. It's very much,
Yeah.
I believe in consumer choice. And so I'm like, okay, these are 3 to 4 products that we think will work for you. And okay, you happen to choose this one and it didn't. It didn't really deliver. Okay, how do we go back? Tell us what it worked and what didn't. And we put that information back into the algorithm. And now it's smarter and trained to know, okay, the next time that someone similar to this shows up, we know that original recommendation no longer works. This is another one that actually is better.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Just basically getting as much data as you can from your consumers so that you can help future consumers as well.
Yeah.
Is kind of the idea of it. Yeah, no, I love that. And so for consumers, how does the website kind of work? Like, is it just, you buy the product and then that's how it is,
So,
or
no. We have a little more.
okay.
I know. I think, and it's funny. I get that question because we were like, okay, so they bought it. Why are they coming back? So the process right now, and again, it's basic, right? You get onto the platform, you answer a few questions, and then it's okay. Here is your skincare routine, and so it'll lay it out of in the 5 categories that we have present right now across the cleansers, toners, serums, eye creams, and moisturizers. And it'll be like, okay, these are 3 options for you to choose from. This one's a 95% match, this one's an 82% match, and like giving them variety because maybe you're like, oh, that's only 82%, but I've heard of that brand and actually like I
Yeah.
want to try that brand, right? Again, like there's so much psychology behind even why you're in a store and you choose something because of the
Yeah.
packaging or whatever. And so giving that choice to consumers, and so you then can add it and say, okay, add to my basket, or you can read more because we do. Again, one of the things that I wanted to make sure worked for consumers is that they had access to the education, but they weren't overwhelmed by it. So
Yeah.
like at first glance, you see the percentage match and you also see of like, oh, it's being recommended because it has XYZ ingredients and because of the issues that I have. So it's actually working for rosacea or works for dry skin or whatever that might be. And so they can see that and be like, oh, okay, great. But then there's an option to read more and they can then see the entire product page and say, okay, read all the ingredients, read what it does, how to use it, all this stuff. And then once you kind of add everything to your routine, you can go to your basket and just buy it. So we essentially work just like any other retailer. Right now, we average about 30% sales margins, which is like really great, being that we don't have to hold any of the inventory. So like
Yeah.
operation cost is really low. And granted, a lot of retailers have, like Sephora has a 50 to 60% margin on
Wow.
their products. And that's a lot, not because of the end price of consumers, because that's never going to change. That would just be like that just wouldn't work. They wouldn't buy from them if that was the case, but they negotiate a lot harder with the brands. And so
Okay.
it's kind of like you're negotiating, right? Of like, well, I'm in Sephora, so I can make more sales, but I'm also on every sale I make, I'm making less money than I would if it was D2C. So,
Yeah.
right, like even from a brand perspective, so I also like wanting to make sure I'm working with a lot of small brands right now. And so it's like, how do I make it? I know how hard it is, and like I need to make money. I know they need to make money.
Yeah.
But so I went off on a tangent there. So anyway, the consumer can buy their products directly from us. And then the other pillar of the platform is essentially the social aspect. So kind of what the original idea was asking what your friends are using, seeing what products they like and what they don't like. You actually right now you can write even like you can upload a picture onto your profile, write a little bio, and then you actually can connect with people. So you
Okay.
can go to another person's profile right now, see their bio, and also see the products that they're using. And
Okay.
this part is not there quite yet, but in the future, the idea is that you can actually see not only see the product that they're using, but then how it matches back to you. So, for example, my older sister has really sensitive skin, and there's plenty of times that she's like, Vanessa, love like whatever it is that I'm using. And she's like, do you like it? Whatever. And she might want to use it. She has enough knowledge now to know, oh, I'm allergic to XYZ ingredients that she can't use it. But if we can take the data that we have available and say, hey, we actually know that it's a 90% match to them, but that's like a 10, 12% match to you because it has the ingredients that you're allergic to. Or because of your skin type, it's not going to work for you. And so that's how it looks right now. But down the road, we're actually planning to even integrate social media and like be
Mm-hmm.
able to integrate reels and TikToks and be able to say, okay, it's not that you're just scrolling through a TikTok and you see someone, you're like, oh my God, they have incredible skin. I need to buy everything that like they buy. It's hold on, you can, but let's put the data behind it and
Yeah.
say, actually, their skin type is drastically different than you. Also, they live in LA. You live on the East Coast. The level of humidity is drastically different, right? And be able to, again, put data into the process so you're not just buying things, but actually knowing what you should be buying and exploring with a better lens, if you will.
Wow, that is actually so cool. Honestly, the
Thank
last
you.
portion that you were telling me about, I was like, oh, I would love that because I feel like too, like as a consumer, sometimes you get so drawn in by stuff like on social media,
Yes.
even like the ads or, like
Oh,
you'll find a skincare brand and you're like I really, really want to try this out, but like, is this really even going to work for my skin?
exactly.
Because everyone's skin is so different, like you said. So if there was something with that, like with Vein, it would already know your skin type, where you live, if you have dry, oily skin, like what other products you're using, because some other product may not go well with something that you're currently using. So yeah, I think that is so cool, honestly.
Thank
Like
you.
that is amazing because I feel like, I mean, I've been a victim, I'm sure we all have, of like buying stuff and then you get it in the mail and you're like, wait, I hate this, I don't want this on my skin ever again.
And you try it like once or twice and you're like, oh my God, it's burning. Oh my God, wait. I actually, my skin, like God, it like happened to me a year ago where like all of a sudden,
Yeah.
all down here, I was all dry and I was like, oh my God, what is happening?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, to me, I'm like, this is already something that we all naturally do. We're all on TikTok, we're all on Instagram, but we're just getting bombarded with ads and being sold things. How can we kind of just like cut through the bullshit, if you will,
Yeah.
and really just be able to, again, the transparency with consumers of
Yeah.
like telling them, hey, this is going to work or not work. And, I don't know, some people might argue that that takes away sales because if I'm not selling as much, then there's a lot of money left on the table. I don't see it that way. I see it if I actually can build true trust with a consumer, that's a consumer I'm never going to lose. That's
Yeah.
someone that's going to come and anything that I have to offer, they're going to come and trust me.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say too, it's like if, say you do buy something that you see on social media, you get it in the mail, it works terribly. A lot of skincare companies now, they have two like trials, where it's like you get it in the mail and it's like on a trial basis. And I think that is consumer driven too because so many
Totally.
people have gotten stuff in the mail and they're like, this is terrible. Like, I don't want this. And so now they do the trials anyway. So it's not like you're losing consumers technically because they're not going to buy from you again, like you said. So I think it just makes the consumer more aware and they're
Hmm.
going to be better customers in the long run too.
Totally, totally. But yeah, that's probably like my favorite part of the platform where I'm like, this is where we're starting, but this is really the vision because it's if I can put like even on my pitch deck, it's like I'm putting all the like tech iMessage, I'm putting, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, I'm putting it all into one place where I'm like, these are already natural behaviors, but
Yeah.
not a lot of data's behind it. It's just throwing ads and shit for honestly lack of a better word because it's all
Yeah.
crap. Like just throwing things at the consumer versus really helping them through the process. And there's so many customers that I've spoken to when I do my consumer calls, and they're like, I get so overwhelmed that I just leave the process completely. And I just go, okay, never mind, I'm not going to buy something. I'm like, well, that's the last thing that any brand retailer wants. Like, you don't want the consumer to walk away. You want them to choose something that's going to work for them and that they continue to use.
Yeah. No, and that's really, I feel like the mission behind Vane too is helping the consumer
Yeah.
find something that is going to work best for them. So it's very, very individualized, based off of your skin, your needs, your preferences, your morals, all of those things. So yeah, no, I mean that's awesome.
Thank you. It's so funny when I remember the notes that I took when I was just brainstorming. And again, this is like 2020, 2021. And I'm
Yeah.
like, mind you, I'm literally working for a supplier at that time. Like I am on the brand side. And I'm like, brands, no. Consumer, yes. I'm like, everything needs to be around the consumer. But again, I think it's because having done that and been on the brand side, I knew the levers that I had to pull to get myself in front of the consumers. So like,
Yeah.
was it maybe the best? And granted, again, like I come from food and bev, so like the stakes aren't as high. I'm like, okay, you didn't like the beer I sold you, whatever. Like, okay,
Yeah.
your life is not over. But our faces are so tied with how we feel and how we show up in the world and how confident we feel. And that's kind of what the name I wanted. It goes back to like why I chose the name in the first place, right? And like what I want the name and the brand to evoke for people is a feeling of confidence, of feeling like, you know what? I look good and I know it. Like
Yeah.
there's no reason to like hide behind it and to feel confident every day. And if we can help do that, incredible. Like that's the goal, right? And that they know
Yeah.
what they're buying and they know they feel confident not only in their skincare routine and the products that they're using, but how they walk out the door every day and they're walking on the streets of whatever city they live in.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love that. And so, what is your favorite product right now on Vane? And I know it's individualized, but for you
Yeah.
personally, what is your favorite product?
Okay. I'm using the Clear Stem vitamins. It's like a vitamin C infused cleanser.
Okay.
It's called, oh, I should know it's bright something. It's bright cleanse. I should know the name of it. But it is, I love it. It
We'll
has
put
like,
it in the show notes.
yeah. I'm like, I should know what that's called. But it's awesome. And it has like this great smell to it. And it's a jelly type of
Okay.
consistency, which I really like. Usually, I've used some like jelly consistency, but sometimes it's a little bit more liquid. I like that it's gel. So when I put it on, I really feel like, okay, I have something on my face
Yeah.
and it's awesome. And I like the smell of it and it feels really nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Okay,
my
cool.
favorite one right now.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. I don't think I
Yes.
have tried that one of their product line yet, but that's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
I would love for
you.
you to tell my audience what is the best way to find you, to find Vane as
Yes.
well, and all of those things. I'll also include it in the show notes too for easy access
Perfect.
for everyone.
Yeah, I would love that. So you can find us at vanemarket.com. The brand, yes, is Vane, but the domains are hard to come by. So
Yeah.
vanemarket.com. And I'll also give you the password because right now we are limited to like people on our wait list and as they're testing us out before we launch our beta this summer. So I'll make sure to give you the password. The password is in all caps Vane and then lowercase the rest of market.
Okay.
That's why I'm like, I'll make sure to give you for the show notes because it's a little and then 2025. It's a little complicated.
Okay, cool.
It's essentially Vein Market 2025 with some case sensitivity. But yeah, that's the easiest way to find us. And then or our socials, our handles on TikTok and Instagram are Vein at Vein Market.
Okay.
So yeah, we're about to ramp up a lot of on the social side. I'm bringing on 2 or 3 interns to help with marketing. So I'm very
Wonderful.
excited for that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's super awesome. Thank you again so much for coming on and sharing
Thank
the story
you.
and the mission behind Vane. And yes, it was so nice, Vanessa.
Likewise. Thank you so much. It was so nice talking to you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Thanks.